precinct? Can you tell what kind of weapons they have? Is that serious stuff, or is it rubber? Do you know?
They don't have one.
No, I do. We've been seeing these same weapons on top of the 3rd precinct for the last 48 hours. They are non-lethal weapons. Now, these officers certainly have lethal weapons on them, but what they are holding are non-lethal weapons. It's either going to be tear gas, rubber bullets, beanbags, or flashbangs.
Sarah Seidner, we will get back. Thank you very much. Listen, this is our breaking news. We have some breaking news in this case against a fired Minneapolis police officer, Derek Chauvin. Bail was set at $500,000, $500,000. That's Chauvin was arrested and charged with murder and manslaughter in the death of George Floyd today. Now, I'm going to get down to criminal defense attorney Joey Jackson, who has some information for us, Joey, and he's going to walk us through all of this. So, Joey, $500,000 bail for this fired officer. Give me your reaction to that first.
My reaction is that we are in some troubled times, Don, and it just seems that so many times you and I having these conversations, you having these conversations with so many people, what's going on, right? And so we're here again, and it's just a different name. And so my reaction is one of, you know, what is this country becoming, and where are we? And the fact that we have a case like this, where you have someone putting their knee on a human being's neck for 9 minutes, 3 of which they're non-responsive. Just heartbreaking, it's disgusting, it's outrageous. So my first reaction is not a legal reaction, it's a human reaction. And the human reaction is, where is the humanity? And so, yeah, that's my first thinking. And so the fact that we have to talk about this again and again and again and again, and we have this divide between the police and communities, where there's a total lack of trust for good reason, where there's a total disconnect for good reason, where there needs to be a gap that's bridged, right? We're in a really bad place, and we need to move out of this place and change the whole culture of what's going on. So that's my first reaction.
So, Joey, as I'm looking at some of the information here that I have from you, and this is partial information, you have a much fuller context. I understand that you have the bail documents, right, from Derek Chauvin. Yes. Walk us through that. What do they show?
So what happens is this. What ends up occurring is that you have, of course, the warrant of arrest. And what that contains in it is it contains a probable cause statement in terms of the facts of what you're alleged to have done. I think we all don't need to go through those facts, Don. We all know what we saw happen, and we don't need a rendition from lawyers who otherwise indicated what occurred. We saw it, right? So after that, then it becomes, or before that, what are you going to charge him with? So the document also consists of the charges, and what do we know? We know that one charge is 3rd-degree murder. What does that mean? And then there's the manslaughter. What does that mean? And then I'll get to the bail. 3rd-degree murder. People are asking, what's that all about? What it's about is you don't have to show intent. Normally, Don, when we're talking about murder, people are thinking about deliberation, premeditation, lying in wait. No, that's not the only murder you can have. You can have something else. It's called depraved indifference. What does that mean? It means that your acts were so void of humanity. It means that you did something so inherently dangerous that you knew, or certainly should have known, that it would lead to a death. You just acted in such a callous way. That, without intent, could be murder. That's what's charged. It's punishable by 25 years. That's on the document. And so if prosecutors don't get that as they move forward, they have another theory. And what that theory is, Don, is manslaughter. And manslaughter says that you can act so carelessly, you can act with just such a lack of care and disregard that you consciously disregard the risk in your careless behavior that someone could die. That's manslaughter. It's punishable by 10 years. That's also in the document. And then you get down to the issue of, well, what's bail, right? Bail is generally given to someone to ensure their return to court. Now, let's be clear. There are some instances where people face murder, Don, where in facing that murder, they're remanded. What does remanded mean? It means that there's no bail you can pay me. You're going to be in custody. They didn't seem fit to do that here. What they did was they offered $500,000 bail. What that means is he can make that bail, or could have, some reports, maybe he did, that he could make that bail if he puts up 10% of that. So that's essentially what all this is all about.
Joey Jackson, thank you very much. We'll get back to you if need be. I want to get to Kyung Law now. Kyung joins us. You see the pictures of Los Angeles. Kyung Law is on the streets of Los Angeles with some new information. Take us through what you're seeing on the streets. Kyung?
what the we're seeing an incredible presence by the Los Angeles Police Department. I'm going to see if we can move you a little bit closer so you can see how the police officers right now, they have created a line here. We are just east of the 110 freeway. That is the main artery through downtown Los Angeles that we've seen protesters try to get on the freeway, try to block traffic. And what we're seeing now is the LAPD basically splintering this protest group. And we're in one small group. I'm going to have you turn this way as my photographer Jordan takes a look at the crowd. This is one small group of a number of groups spread out across downtown Los Angeles. And so the way police are handling these groups is with crowd control, trying to use their batons, trying to use their helmets and their shields. Okay, we're moving. And remember, the police officers right now, we can see that they're trying not to touch people because we are in the middle of a pandemic. About half the people here are wearing masks. Police officers are wearing shields, and then some of them are wearing masks. But then what we're seeing are protesters getting right in front of the faces of these police officers. The other thing I want to point out, Don, is that, you know, a lot of these people who are here on this roadway, they have cell phones. And so that is something you certainly are seeing these officers be cognizant of, Don.
We're going to get back to you, Keung. Thank you very much. I need to get to Washington, D.C., and my colleague Brian Todd is there standing right in front of the White House. Brian, take it away. What do you have?
Don, a very tense confrontation here in Lafayette Park in front of the White House. They have tried to reinforce these steel frame barriers, and these protesters are resisting, and it's been very, very tense. A lot of confrontation here with the Secret Service police. Some pushing, some shoving, some hitting, water being thrown, bottles being thrown. It's very tense, as you can see. Our photojournalist David Brooks is kind of elevating his shot here so that you can see what the Secret Service police are doing to try to hold this crowd off. But this crowd has been very, very angry and confrontational with the police here. Every time it seems to escalate, the crowd kind of moves back. The crowd seems to be policing itself a little bit here. See, they're trying to get people to back up as the barriers get pushed more toward us. But it has been a real tug-of-war for the last, I'd say, at least 30, and it's gotten violent at times. Don, this is the third time today that the scene in front of the White House has gotten violent. The same kind of situation here with the barriers being put up, protesters knocking down the barriers, confronting police. That happened earlier today. There's also a scene where the Secret Service police led a gentleman away who they were trying to apprehend. And the crowd turned on the police, throwing objects at them, beating them. That was earlier today, around the 6 o'clock hour. Let's see if we can get a view of what's going on here. Again, more.
Ed, we can see what's happening. Someone is throwing something at police officers. We've lost Ed momentarily. I would imagine it's just Brian Todd momentarily. I imagine it's just that they'll plug him right back up, and then we'll get him back. But you can see protesters there pushing these barricades, trying to at least pull these barricades away from police officers, and it looks like they're doing a pretty good job, and they've gotten them away. These protesters getting into the face of a police officer standing right in front of the White House at Lafayette Park. Let's listen to this just for a little bit. All right, so some foul language going on there. Others saying hands up, don't shoot. But we're going to stay with this because, again, this is right in front of the White House and a very large police presence there. Brian Todd is not with us, but I'm just wondering how many people there are out there. We have a couple of different camera angles that are there. One was Brian's shot. As soon as they get plugged back up, we'll show you that one. And then we have this one as well from one of our other photographers who are out there. But they pull that barricade away from police officers very quickly there in front of the White House. So, and if you look to the left, they have erected a wall of sorts. I can't exactly see what it is. I'm not sure if they did that just today because of this. The probability is that they did. And then obviously behind that wall is the normal gate to the White House at Lafayette Park. Now protesters yelling Black Lives Matter at the officers there. It's interesting when you when you look at the difference between this and the Los Angeles Police Department. Listen, obviously Washington D.C. used to dealing with this. Probably one of the most protected cities in this country, if not the most, because of members of our government and the president, obviously. The difference between this police department and the one in Los Angeles police trying not to touch anyone, and yet this police department is struggling with folks, and I guess they have really no other alternative if they want to keep those barriers erected and keep that distance and that space between these protesters and the White House, and to keep them from getting any closer and possibly breaching that wall. But these officers showing considerable restraint here with the protesters who are getting in their faces, which is, what officers should do. They're taught to de-escalate and not escalate situations like this. So as we watch these pictures of this scene play out in Washington, D.C., remember there are others that are happening around the country. Police officers just got pelted with some there in the crowd. You saw it at the left of your screen there. But as we watch, there we go. You get an idea of the size of this crowd, and it's pretty considerable in Washington. Again, police officers getting pelted with who knows what's in those bottles. But so far here, we have not seen the rubber bullets come out. We have not seen the tear gas come out. We've not heard the flashbangs or any. It's just police officer or officer of the law battling against protesters. There they are, bringing more police barricades in, more objects being thrown into the crowd for police officers. I'm being told now by producers we have Brian Todd back. He's on the phone. Brian, you're right in the middle of this crowd that we're watching.